Wow, you guys made it. Thanks for coming this weekend. This is Startup Weekend Presentations, EdTech edition. A lot of you have gone through some arduous pivoting, and these teams have sweated bullets getting here, so I'm pretty excited to get this started. But before we go too much farther, I would love for our judges to introduce themselves. I'm going to start with Dan. I'm going to stand with this. Say hello.
Hi everybody, I'm Dan Clay. I'm the Dean of the College of Education. Also been involved with multiple startups and investment communities. Have started 4 companies on my own, and it's the first time I've judged though, so make sure that you don't judge me for judging.
Hi everyone, my name is Ada Wu. I work at Ascend Learning. We're an education company mostly in the workforce and higher ed market. I lead R&D in Ascend, and I've been involved with the Iowa EdTech startup scene for maybe 4 years. I worked on the last startup accelerator at ACT, so great to be here.
Hi everyone, Trent Workman. I'm the Senior Vice President at Pearson in the School Assessment Division. I think most of you are familiar with Pearson, but we're known as the world's learning company. But my role is really focused on creating solutions around assessment, working here in Iowa City, but then we work with really everyone across the nation. So excited to be here. It's my first time with the EdTech Accelerator program, and like Dan, don't judge me for my first time being a judge.
So very briefly, we'll go over the different criteria that the judges will be judging our teams on. First one, validation. Do they actually go talk to customers? Are they solving an actual problem? How do they identify that? Do they have a prototype, technical, or piece of paper? Can you show us something that this could be the future? And then lastly, do you have a business plan? It's not just made up numbers, but did you work through your value proposition? Is this idea unique? And if it's the Uber for X, tell me how you're doing it better, cheaper, faster, etc. Each team will have 6 minutes of presenting with a hard stop. So I will start clapping at 6 minutes. 4 minutes of questions from the judges immediately after. Judges will pick the top 3 teams, and after the event and moving forward, we will continue to celebrate your hard work. So this is the pitching order. We have behavior, and then immediately after B-Sharp, number 3, the fourth, and the last present this evening will be gamified investing.
Hi, I'm Jim. I'm here representing the company Behavior. We consider ourselves a modern approach to the age-old question, tell me about a situation when, during an interview process. I'm here to show you today how we can answer that question much more accurately and much better with technology. But first I want you to meet Janet. Janet is a small business owner in Iowa City. She has 9 employees, started her own business, hung her own shingle. She sells kombucha, and she told us, I'm a kombucha business, but I'm selling hospitality. And when we talked to Janet, her concerns are a very high turnover rate with her employees, her brand, and her temporary employees and the employees that she hires is entirely dependent on the employees and their interaction with the public. She's worried about that, that's fairly risky, and she's always battling this need to want to jump in and take control and give autonomy to her employees. So we kind of developed out of this story a problem statement that the current hiring methods, after we talked to Janet, aren't effectively predicting the likelihood of a successful employee and employer match in her market. That results in her having to carry a lot of risk, and we wanted to solve that problem. So we did a little research on our own, and we said, all right, turnover, onboarding cost in the hospitality industry, what's the average cost to a business for turnover? Just shy of $6,000 every time an employee turns over. There's a lot of costs that are well known, a lot of costs that are hidden, but that's a lot of money for every single time that they have to turn over an employee, which means every time they need to get it right. So here's how we set out to answer the question. We identified 14 businesses in the hospitality market in Iowa City, and we asked them several questions, sampling that you can see there, and some of the statements they gave us were, I need employees who can act under pressure. I need to know how they're going to react when there's an angry customer, because it's at that moment that my reputation and my business is on the line. But it's really hard to get to that until I see it happen. And we thought, all right, is there a way for us to give you better insight into that candidate pool without having to wait for that event to actually happen after you onboard them, right? There is, it turns out there is. The solution is behavior, and I'm extremely excited to present to you today the world's first virtual reality behavior assessment platform that is addressing Janet's need and what we believe to be a need across the industry. It's a little mock-up of what our sort of behavior dashboard would look like, but the goal of behavior is to be able to assess candidates using VR and scenarios that we develop in virtual reality so that we can measure how they're performing under pressure in situations that are difficult to replicate except in a virtual reality environment. You say, all right, well, what about VR? Isn't that like video games? Can't I just watch them play a video game? Well, the answer is no, because there's something really special that happens to an individual when they put on a VR headset. If you don't agree, there's a half a dozen people in here who would like you to step on a plank on the top of a skyscraper and see how that feels. And why now, though? Why now? Like, why virtual reality? Well, the cost of this thing, that virtual reality headset used to be $1,000, $1,000, cost prohibitive. These are down into the Chromebook level, $300, $250, and they're only getting cheaper. We also have the technology to the point now where it's so immersive that your brain actually thinks you are in that environment, which is a really, really ripe situation for you to get at the core of a candidate's behavior, their reaction, and how they respond to difficult, tense situations. And the research is really clear. Learning in an immersive mode is a much more effective way to get a point across. What we're here to say is, we're going to take that one step further. We are going to assess in a VR mode. Boom, the star. A little bit of research for those of you that are research-minded. There's a really famous study that was conducted in 2020 on the physiological impact of immersive VR. This is basically take your systolic blood pressure, administer a VR environment, let them be immersed, take it again. You can't fake this. This is your body. This is the reaction. This tells us that there's something special about the virtual reality environment and the human body that we can capture and harness. So what's next? Well, we need to develop the platform. Our beta is a slide, so that doesn't take us very far. Develop the platform means we need to develop the scenarios. You saw the scenarios, empathy, these are behaviors, right? Empathy, conflict management, etc. We've decided to participate in a job fair, so we're going to bring the virtual reality to the customer. We're going to be at a job fair at the University of Iowa and gather samples and gather participants so they can take these tests. Because ultimately what we want to do, since this is an assessment, is make sure that what we're assessing them on, the VR experience, we can include objective measures in there, as well as clipping the entire thing and sending it to a prospective employer. That has to be an accurate predictor of something that's better than what they have. We need data, so we're really in that beta phase. We would like to expand the scenario, and ultimately we see this as a complement to what LinkedIn is doing now with LinkedIn Learning, with badges for achievements in content, in Java development, but this is an social, emotional, and behavioral equivalent that will have meaning in the market. We believe that the time is now and the time is right. Oh yeah, and there's our team. There's a young Jim, pre-seed idea, and the rest of our team, Ms. Beth Risman, Mr. Curtis Brogue. So thank you very much. I'll be in the middle.
It's really hard to tell, yeah.
So they'll have 4 minutes of questioning, up to 4 minutes. They don't
Excellent.
they don't have to. And then hard stop at 4 minutes.
Who's the primary competition for your idea?
It is the paradigm of tell me about a time when a customer was upset and how did you deal with it. We took a look at this. We're really excited about this. There's a lot of things that your mind will do, like, oh, this could apply to and this could apply to. The market is fairly well saturated with companies that are doing VR training. Walmart trains their employees for Black Friday, like an event. Because the power of VR is that you can simulate an event, and sometimes an event that it comes with a little bit of danger, but you can do it in a safe environment so that you can see and hopefully anticipate, predict, and modify behavior before it happens. So that the actual real-world applicability of this is more in the vocational workspace training area, but we believe that as an assessment platform, it has very, very strong promise as well. So we're starting with sort of a refined pool of job applicants and expanding out from there.
So we really focus on that, tell me about a time when. So I'm a high school teacher, I teach career exploration, okay? I actually train my kids how to answer that situational interview question. Using the STAR method, there's the call method, right? It's a trained response. It's a rehearsed response. It really doesn't get to the heart of the actual behavior. Okay? I know what the right thing is to say, but how am I actually going to behave in that situation?
And that's what we think
we're trying to
is
do.
unique about our approach, for sure.
Yeah, so I have a question about your content development model.
Yep.
I appreciate you laying out some of the construct that kind of work across different businesses.
Yes.
But, you know, every client is going to think, I'm so special, my
Yep.
business is different
Yep.
than everyone else.
Yep.
In terms of scaling your business, how would you handle the custom work that, you know,
Yep.
maybe Walmart said, I'm different than Target. I
Yep.
need these kinds of scenarios.
Depends on the situation, but long-term, we don't want to be in the business of contracting for custom work. I see us building the platform that allows the customer to use those building blocks and customize it to their own specifications. So every company has their own values, right? And they are going to want to say, well, as a Marriott employee, we expect people to act this way and this way. I can't scale a business like that if I'm just doing that custom. We need to learn what they want, but we want to build a platform that makes it easy for others to extend it and build it for themselves. Initially, we'll have our own modules that fall along more behavioral lines that are fairly common, like Raven's assessment and things like that you can measure. But yeah, we anticipated that need, and we all agreed that building the platform to allow others to extend is the long play in that scenario. Yep.
Well, congratulations on picking something to measure, which is the hardest thing in the world to measure, and that's human behavior. So that takes a lot of courage. You get extra points.
It's actually not courageous.
I'll
It might be
give you that.
stupidity.
Yeah.
There's other fine lines there.
So one of the most common things that happens in measuring human behavior is that observing the behavior that you're trying to measure actually changes the behavior of the person.
Right.
How would your system manage to take
So,
care of that
yeah.
significant
So
problem?
it's not the system, we actually rely upon human evolution of the brain, because what actually happens when you put one of these things on is you get two different versions of reality, slightly different at each eye, which causes the brain to perceive depth. It perceives that's what creates reality. Add into it stereoscopic sound around you, and you get the feeling that you're in that environment. So if you were to see us earlier today, we did an experiment with several people where they put on a VR headset, and we had them do this experiment where they rode up in an elevator, the doors open, and they walk on a plank. They wouldn't walk forward.
One of the best education systems in the country lies right here in Iowa. However, there are disparities within our own state. Rural students just don't have the same opportunities as anyone in the urban communities here. That's not fair. Rural students deserve the same opportunities as everyone else. One such opportunity I'm very passionate about is music. A recent study showed that IQ increased 9.7% over a period of 6 months after introducing music. Hi everyone, I'm Nicole. I went to Burlington High School and we were fortunate enough to have 3 music ed teachers in our department. Because of this, I developed a giant passion for music. I love music, and I ended up coming here to the University of Iowa to study education, and I got a full tuition scholarship for music. I wish every student had the opportunity that I did. So here's our problem. Rural school districts just don't have access to the same musical opportunities as urban school districts, or they're just unable to provide opportunities to their students. Our app, B Sharp, helps both teachers and students by providing interactive lessons and individualized instruction.
So we believe that we're unique in this. That we're focusing on rural areas and providing that music education to underserved students. We believe that because we're bringing this at no upfront cost to these students, that we can be the first ones that they'd actually be able to take a chance on. And this will allow them to practice and receive instant feedback from the application, whether they did things correctly or not. Also, this is our home. We're an Iowa-based startup, and we want to go where the students need it the most. So B Sharp, our application here, simple login screen, username and password. Then as a student, you come to your homepage here. You can see featured songs, G and Bach. You can purchase that as a one-time thing. There's a current song that someone's working on, Arpeggios in C. They've got a 25-note streak in there, just like you see in Guitar Hero. And then also their current lesson. You can see with the green notes that those are ones that they've hit, that the app has seen. But the red ones, they're having some trouble hitting those high notes. So that's something that the student can see and get feedback on instantly. Go to their practice screen, you can play, pass forward, rewind, and you can work on getting that song down. And it'll tell you how many notes you hit correctly and what sort of a note streak you're on. As a teacher, you'd be able to come onto this and see, there's We Will Rock You by Queen that's available that you can then distribute that to your students. Speaking of students, James C. is there. He's doing all right. Who's that previous student that we saw? Bethany K, though, she's having some issues. She hasn't been doing any of her lessons. You can see that here in this application. But Curtis has been doing amazing. He's got really good high percentage of completion. He's doing some jazz really well. So you can see here with James again, the teacher can see, well, he's having trouble reaching those high notes. That lets them plan for the next lesson of those limited resources of time that they can focus on one specific thing that the teacher already knows is an issue.
So let's talk about the competition. So one of our biggest competitors is this app called Tonestro. It's on the Apple Store, it's on the Google Play Store, right? This app is expensive. It is a $100 upfront charge if you want anything other than a single note. So if anybody can learn an instrument by a single note, this is an app for you, but not for me. Next, we have Smart Music. This product is expensive and it's also inconvenient. It's not on your phone. You can't put it in your pocket and take it with you. You have to have a laptop. And lastly, an instruction book. I mean, I grew up on instruction books, but man, if there was an app that I could just take with me anywhere, God, that'd be a lifesaver. And also, it doesn't have feedback. Like, you don't get any feedback with an instruction book. Our product is priced below that of our competitors. It's simple, it's easy to use, and it's affordable. Like, you can practice, you can learn so much without having any limitations and no cost.
So, as we said earlier, some of our competitors they do excel at some things. Instruction books are a good price, Tonestro's got some good feedback, but they don't hit that confluence of convenient and affordable. We'd like to try and hit that so that schools that don't have many resources can have something in their arsenal. So going back again to that problem, we have no upfront cost for the boring parts of just practicing. That would allow you as a school to utilize that little money that you have and little time that you have even further. Also, it's accessible. You only need a phone. Finally, it's fun for the kids. They can see on their phone themselves getting better as time goes on.
So let's talk about the target market. In Iowa, we have 327 total school districts. Rural school districts are about 2/3 of that. Imagine how many kids we aren't able to reach. Imagine how many kids don't get to come to the University of Iowa and study music. It's not even in their head. They don't even know about it. And if we're going to go larger scale on this, there's 137,000 plus public schools in the US. How many kids are not being reached? How many kids are not having the same opportunities that I had? So here's our growth plan. By year 5, we want to have around 7,500 downloads, okay? And so our paid users are subscription-based users, which will mostly be schools. We want to have about 5%, so 375 users, right? This will earn us around $36,000 in subscriptions. And also, with our ad revenue, we'll earn about $70,000. So, something to touch on with ads. This is an education app. If I opened up an app on my phone that was supposed to teach me something, I do not want to have something pop up in my face and tell me, buy this. No, I want to practice. So our ads are banners. They aren't going to interrupt your practicing. So this is our team. I'm Nicole. Hi, everyone. I'm I study music here at the university. I study pipe organ, and I also study education. And I'm really passionate about this, so I hope you guys are all too.
I'm Caleb. Questions?
So I really appreciate the mobile platform. I really appreciate that, especially the target market is rural school. I mean, there's a bunch of research on equity that talk about, there are some students that maybe the mobile phone is the only device that they have. So this is great. And I'm gathering that you're looking at a B2B model. You want to sell to school. So you talk a lot about the value prop for the student, learning music. What's the value prop for the student? Like if the school is paying for it, what's in it for them?
So the school would be able to utilize their teachers more effectively. Instead of part of each interaction of the teacher and student being, okay, happy to practice, now let's get you up to speed. The teacher can see that beforehand with the application. They can see, okay, here's all of my students. Here's ones that have practiced above and beyond. Here's ones that have done what I've asked. Here's ones that are lagging behind. They can plan ahead, and they don't have to spend as much time getting things from ground zero. So the payback for them would be that they get more utilization out of the time that their teachers have, at concerts, times like that, when parents are able to see, this is what my kids have done. That would be your big payback.
It's really interesting. I agree with Ada that about 70% of Iowa schools are either rural or small town schools. I grew up in a tiny little school, 30 kids in my class. We had one band and one choir teacher for the whole entire high school. So I think there's a real need here. What I'm missing, though, is just to follow up on Ada's question is, I don't understand your business model. If you're selling this to schools, how do you generate the revenue based on that selling it to school?
So there's two potential revenue streams here. One is the subscription basis. This allows you to access the back library of songs that we have for a monthly fee.
Is that the school?
That would be the teacher. So that would be the school that would be paying that.
Okay.
There's also one-time costs that you can do. So if you just want a specific song, you as the teacher or as the student can buy that specific song. So then that's a non-recurring thing, but it might be something that people who aren't willing to subscribe to a monthly fee would be willing to do.
Also, just does anybody in here want to learn an instrument? Ever in their life? Do you want to? Raise your hand. Yeah. If you're an individual and you want to learn the flute, get our app. Pay $8 a month. It's not going to be some super expensive thing. It needs to be reasonable for people. Learn the flute. Learn an instrument. It's a life skill.
As we mentioned, all the boring parts are free. You want to do scales and arpeggios?
Yeah.
That's fine. You want to learn how to do something by Queen? Gotta pay for that.
So I agree. I think there's a lot of value in providing this and providing that equitable access. So I like that model. I think one thing I was curious about the rural focus is who did you talk to validate your idea? So what schools or individuals did you talk to? What was their
So actually, a member on our team, Sue, she has a similar type of business. Her business is developed, and she's starting to become really successful with it, actually. And she provides therapy services for all the rural school districts. Not all of them yet, but it's a startup, right? And so she kind of sat down with me and she talked with me there's a really big need for in all the rural school districts. She's like, I have gone out and like she showed me her website and I watched the video. And there were people on it that are like, there's a need for therapy services, there's a need for music services. I mean, even art, you know, like all of these extracurricular activities that someone in Iowa City would have opportunity to do. Rural students, I mean, it's just brushed under the rug. You know, you need math and you need music. So, yeah, thank you.
Product is the fork. Choose your path. Just know, I chose my own fate. I drove by the fork in the road and went straight. Sean J.Z. Carter. Our team includes Nicole Shutton, Corey Brinkmeyer, myself, Mohammed Traore, and Robert Nylands. We're a team of business owners, web designers, avid self-learners, high school teacher. We also have Robert Nylands here is a mathematics teacher that uses project-based learning. So we found that students aren't being taught how to apply what they're learning to revenue-generating opportunities and in an engaging way. 60% of our survey respondents said they learned best by doing. 98% said they would support a method of learning that was monetized. So in looking at the data, we found that our value prop was essentially solidified. And this prop being that creating a program that incentivizes students to learn how to participate in the digital economy. So this would be done by focusing on a project-based curriculum in which the students are able to create final deliverables that they themselves have the ability to use.
So even though this project is new for us, this is not a new concept in education, going back to even before the 1980s. In 1982, a study was completed over 15 years with 13,000 students in 1,000 classrooms. And it showed that students that were performing in activity-based programs did 20% better or scored 20% higher than those that were in traditional sit-in-your-seat classrooms. More recently, the Association for Career and Technical Education, which is what I'm a part of, also showed that 81% of high school dropouts said that had they had some real-world learning experiences and application, it probably would have kept them in school longer. Our program looks like this. It's a simple 3-step program that is based on a subscription model. Motivated students create an account to sell their unique product. The subscription is $7 per month, and that $7 or the total cost of the product rather is offset by ad revenue, by business sponsorships, by grants, and by donations. Next, once the students get logged in, they're guided through a series of video and text modules that allow them to learn new skills and practice them in a sandbox type form. And then third, students can learn to generate revenue by selling their own items or even potentially do it the same and make more money for themselves. A quick mock-up here shows you that we have a playlist of the project here, which in this case is based on e-commerce. So the students can start and stop when they want. They can resume and pick up where they left off. And where it says start here is where our video would be embedded. That video, once again, would have advertisements built into it to help, again, offset the costs. If the student already feels like they have an understanding or knowledge of that area, they can simply start and stop or pause. They can go and perform the activity and practice it, and if they need to, they can come back to it. Our e-commerce project looks like this. Basically 4 steps. You've got hosting, you've got setting up a point of sale system with Shopify, you've got a product development course, and then you also have a management of your online store. By going through these steps, it would allow students to better understand web design basics, computer programming concepts, digital content creation, project management, and financial education.
Let's look at the customer segments for the fork. We're focused on students who are 13 to 18 years old and who prefer to learn by doing. We're marketing to schools and alternative schools, as well as community centers, youth centers, and parents. When we did our survey, we had a substantial buy-in from parents. They were our largest set of survey respondents. This shows the percentage of our survey respondents. The largest group is the 35 to 44 group, 31.7%. The next two largest in percentage were 25 to 34 and 45 to 54 at 19% each. One of our takeaways from the survey, respondents were asked about their positive and negative school experiences. The positive experiences were centered around relationships and group activities, such as sports and clubs, or areas where they learned leadership. Learning was not mentioned. Negative school experiences focused on poor teachers and classroom habits, with a focus on grading rather than learning. A second takeaway, our question was, what do you wish you had learned in school? 53% responded with some version of a life skill, including personal finance, taxes, or ways to make money. A third takeaway, how would you have liked to learn this? 52% responded with a project-based learning approach. Only 12% responded with a focus that included taking tests.
So going forward, we see that technology is changing at an unprecedented pace.
Questions? Sure. So can you just say a little bit more about where that data came from?
Yeah, we did surveys throughout the day yesterday and even collecting them through the night last night. We had 63 respondents. I reached out to some former students that either graduated recently or will be seniors in school this year. Reached out to some educators on an educator Facebook platform, as well as just my own social media channels. Rob and Mo, you want to talk a little bit about?
And so I created the survey with a service called Typeform, and what you can do with them is customize the workflow. So depending on if they chose student, parent, or teacher, I was able to make it so that they could skip a certain set of questions and only answer the ones applicable to them. Additionally, for the multiple choice questions or the multi-answer questions, make sure that they were randomized in every single survey so that they weren't seeing them in a consistent order and they truly had to search for the answers that they wanted to.
And I would also comment that the ones where we asked them about their positive and negative experiences, those were open-ended, so they could answer however they want.
So I appreciate the work that went into this. I've done research on this topic as well, so I know it's a very important area. One question about the prototype was around your survey feedback. You got a lot of feedback around people liking group work, collaboration. So how does that work within the prototype? It looked like it was individual. You built something, but how do they collaborate and do the teamwork side of things? Is that part of your offering?
So that's the one thing with really marketing the community centers and youth centers. So a lot of these places, you might have some school districts that are able to give students computers. In other cases, you have students that don't have them or may not have access to the internet. However, if you can get computers within community centers or youth centers, you're more than likely going to end up with more students doing these projects in groups. But in almost every case, you are going to see students asking each other. You see them sharing their TikTok videos with each other, their Instagram posts with each other. Anything that more students are working on, they tend to consistently talk about with one another.
Great. So in terms of content, where is your content coming from? In your videos and your assessment and your learning program? Are you guys writing the content?
I would create the first set of content in terms of Wix and Shopify and also designing and managing your store. So I've created over 15 of these websites in the last year. And when it comes down to it, knowing that these students can at least do one within a year, it really does not take very much time once you do one or two of them. And when it comes down to it, you can do it with Zoom, live stream it yourself as well to show other people. Save those videos, and then the other thing we can do is take some content from other sources that are open source and also have those as other outlets just in case students want to look through it. And the other thing we really want to do is have surveys at the end of each module so students can say what worked, what didn't work, the questions that they have. If there are consistent things that come up, that provides opportunity to make another short video or an FAQ section of this is how this is done or this is how this is done to make sure that those questions are continually answered.
Have you considered in your business model taking a small percentage of the revenue generated by the businesses that came out of this?
Well, the thing with it is that, so some of these students won't have an opportunity to open a store by not having the money. So we will also be hosting Wix websites and Shopify websites on enterprise plans so they can sell goods and items through there. And then at that time, we just don't see a need to actually have that happen because we can insert Google Ads in there as well if we'd like to gain revenue from there. And then when it comes to businesses as well in the area, they would also be able to.
All right, hello, I'm Grant Frieders with Arcade Investing, and we're here to talk to you about BattleStocks, a gamified investing application. So let's meet Jerry. Jerry's in his early 30s. He has a full-time job and a daughter. And because he's a family man, he doesn't have much time on his plate to do the activities he enjoys. And he's often left feeling overwhelmed thinking about his ability to invest in his future. And yet, he still finds himself decompressing at the end of the day by playing his favorite mobile games, and even spending a little bit of money on those games. So the problem we identified is in 18 to 34-year-olds in underserved communities, the individuals are left feeling overwhelmed and uninterested in learning about investing. The knowledge to gain the knowledge to invest is spread out too much on the internet, and it just overwhelms them. And yet these individuals still spend the money on the games they play. And we interviewed 40 people, and out of those interviews, the average response was that they only had a 3.7 out of 10 level of confidence in their ability to invest. So we believe there is an opportunity to teach investment and diversification strategies to an audience otherwise uninterested through the use of an engaging mobile game.
Yeah, but like, what would that game actually look like? We envision a player versus player game where the stats of your characters or your team of characters is directly tied to how well you're investing. So when you invest, the type of investments that you make, how many learning modules, in-game learning modules you've completed that tell you more about investment, diversification, stocks and options. Your actual return on your real-world investments will improve your character class. And also whether or not you subscribe and invest subscription, we do mean like you're regularly investing and you're putting money towards a portfolio. Our business model is we plan to take a small transaction fee off of every investment made through the game, somewhere between 1% and 5%. That fee is going to be used to fund the platform. We're going to strongly encourage that players make a recurring investment. That's the subscription I was talking about before. But ad hoc investments, of course, will be available. We're also going to sell access to events. The events will be educational in nature, and we're also going to try to sell sponsored content, MBA programs, like-minded companies like financial planning institutions that might want to target the exact same audience that our player set is.
So let's talk about our go-to-market plan. In order to gain our initial customer base, we plan to do advertising on the iOS App Store and various other social media platforms. We also plan to offer sign-up rewards for new players and in-game incentives. To keep our established audience, we plan to consistently update our application and integrate new gameplay dynamics and incorporate new learning modules so our players can increase their financial literacy. We also plan to build community chat rooms so players can discourse with each other about gameplay and investments. And then in order to grow our customer base, we plan to incorporate a next sell model, including referral codes where players can refer other players to our application, and we'll offer them in-game rewards for that, as well as a cross-sell model where we will incorporate a strategic alliance with other applications similar in nature to our own, where we would advertise their platform on ours and vice versa, and trading traffic flow. So competitive analysis, the direct competitors to our application are going to be mobile investing applications and also progression-based mobile gaming applications. Some examples here include Robinhood, Clash of Clans, and Pokemon Go. And what our competitors are lacking that we incorporate into our application is we actually allow our customer base to learn about investing principles within our application through modules and assessments if they so choose to do those. And they can do those inside a fun gaming environment, and all in-app purchases that they'll actually spend on their app in our application will allow them the opportunity to actually create wealth of their own. So the management team here is Grant Frieders, Aiden Houlihan, Andrew Jewell, Christina Van Rokel, Tim Evans, and myself.
And because we're operating in the brokerage industry as well as the mobile gaming industry, we looked into the first years of operation for both Robinhood and Clash of Clans. In Robinhood's first year of operation, they had 500,000 users and about $3 million in revenue. And in Clash of Clans' second year of operation, they had 29 million users and about $1.6 billion in revenue. And due to the increased interest in investing applications in recent years, we plan to have at least 6 million users by the end of our third year of operation with $50 million in revenue. Now, to create our minimum viable product, it's going to cost us around $500,000. And to do the final product, it's going to cost almost $2 million. And $250,000 of those dollars will go to our legal team to make sure we have the proper licenses to operate legally as a brokerage firm and to make sure we are in line with FCC regulations. Now, we're currently in the development stage still, and we're still working on designing and making our MVP. And if we are unable to raise funding before our MVP is released, our in-game stock investments will actually have to be done in a simulated environment because we can't operate as a brokerage, legally operate as a brokerage industry without that funding.
I may have just one basic question from my own understanding. So is there a subscription fee you pay just to like learn, or is it like you actually have to invest money to start doing the module? I wasn't clear on that.
We plan to have the modules for free, but there's going to be in-game events that will host educational and fun opportunities. And for those events, if you are a subscriber, you get extra benefits during those events.
Yeah, it's a freemium game to start, and anyone can play it for absolutely free. But like all freemium games, there are benefits that are unlocked if you put money into it. The advantage being that the money you put in is actually building equity, and then you can someday pull back out.
Can you talk a little bit more? If I'm a subscriber, what do I get more than if I'm just doing this for free version?
Yeah, so you're going to get more items like gems, and gems let you upgrade your teams and get accessories and aesthetical items that you might like in the game. You'll also...
So there'll be leagues and tiers, ongoing leagues and tiers. Someone who's put $5,000 of investment into the game is going to be at a different tier than someone who's just playing freemium level. So when you're doing that player versus player combat, you're not going to have that guy against the freemium guy. This is a way to encourage not only proper investing and cognizant investing, but it also is going to encourage like proper gameplay, because you can be a good player and also be a good investor, and if you're both good at both, you're going to want to fight against people that are also good at both.
So the gamification has two components. One is internal, like I do really well, I open up a new level for myself, and the other is like I'm playing against you gamification. I don't quite understand how either or both of those play into this. Can you explain?
I don't understand your question.
Is the gamification internal so that I, as a player, just get lots of rewards by buying things and putting cool skins on and opening new levels? Or am I competing against other people for something bigger than just my own personal?
So there's that push a red button, get a nice dopamine hit part of it. That gamification would be unlocking skins, you're unlocking items and stuff. But it's also personal gamifications that you're growing your wealth and becoming a better investor. Does that answer your question?
So is there competition between people on your platform?
Yeah, we're going to have leaderboards, and you're going to be able to like tap the 2 people above you on the leaderboard, so you can try and move your way up. And as you get higher up in the leaderboards, you're going to get more in-game rewards. So like the top 3 are going to get the 3 best rewards every event.
What's your marketing plan? So how do you get started and letting people know that this is a thing?
Yeah, so gaming and investing communities are really big on Twitter and Discord. So we're planning on doing advertising in underserved communities in cities like Des Moines. And we're hoping to really target individuals and show that, underserved individuals, and show them that we are here to help them and to help them secure a financially well-off future.
Is there a minimum buy-in? Because you're looking at people that don't have a lot of money to start with, how much do they need to have to start playing?
So there is like a free league, and we can play with other free-to-play players. So you can play for completely free, but the first level of paid league is up to
$9. Yeah, $9.99.
So when you pay, then you're actually investing in something.
Yeah, the user's going to keep between 95 to 99% of their investments. Will take a 1 to 5% transaction fee.
So if your player invests in GE stock and you're fighting someone who's investing in Toyota stock, if your GE stock has done better in the last 30 days than their stock, you're going to have a strong.
So, winning teams. We'll do the 3rd place, 2nd place, and then 1st place. Do we want to do a drum roll or some sort of? One of the judges.
Yeah, so first of all, I want to congratulate all the teams. You all did a great job. It was so much fun listening to your ideas. I can tell a lot of hard work went into this weekend. So just a couple things about behavior. Congratulations on your 3rd place finish. I think you had a novel use of a new technology to solve a real problem for employers, and I think that value proposition was really clear. It does. I think you did a really good job on the VR aspect of this, and I like the way you used some of the VR-related research on physiology and the human experience in that. I think that was really good. The identification of relevant constructs that you had for employers around customer service, I thought was also really good. Those were intuitive, those were clear, they made a lot of sense, and I thought that was good. A couple of other things that we saw as a weakness. One is that by offering a platform that requires the customer to do a lot of work, building out the scenarios after they've paid you to use the platform maybe is a stretch to get customers to do that. I already mentioned about how difficult it is to predict human behavior. So one of the things that you would have to do would be to establish a valid and reliable method, and that's a pretty big lift to develop that sort of reliability data and validity data for something like this if you were to use it as a commercial product. I think that would be expensive, and I think that would take a very long time. And exactly how you would monetize it wasn't really clear. I think you had some ideas about that, but maybe not quite the depth. One of the things we talked about is that this is a really serious problem, and one of the ways you might add value that eliminates some of the problems I just mentioned is if you use this platform for training as opposed for assessment and placement. So could an employer use a VR environment to help train employees to work with different kinds of customers, and particularly difficult customers. So one of the issues we face in teacher education is that teachers have to learn how to deal with difficult students or behavior problems in the classroom. And we can't put them in the classroom to learn that because classrooms have to function with people that know how to do that. So we're building a VR system right now where teachers can practice managing behavior in this virtual classroom. It's AI-based so that the students' response to the teachers will vary depending on the teacher behavior. And we think it could be a useful product where you could use it to help train so that customer behavior will depend on how the employee in training responds to them within that VR environment. So there's a real significant potential use there. So great idea. Congratulations on your third place finish.
Thank you.
Cool. And then before I forget, we do have some packages for our winning teams to choose between. We have a biz dev package, which is from DMC Creative and gift cards to obviously businesses. We have a marketing package from Katie Brown Marketing and gift cards or gift certificates to obviously businesses. And then a third option, Iowa City Fun Package, Downtown District Block Party tickets and gift certificate coupons. So you'll have the option to choose one and then whatever is remaining and so forth. So without further ado, our second place is the Fork.
Congratulations on your second place finish. So we, I think through some of the questions, you probably heard some of this, but we were really impressed by the team that you put together to build out the Fork. And we also made multiple comments about the graphics you guys created in 24 hours. We were really impressed with everything you put on the screen and how you came up with more than just an idea. You really started to put it into an MVP. So project-based learning is something that you described as a really hard thing to solve. And so we really like the way that you started to put pieces together to really solve that problem because it's complex for districts and schools to solve on their own. So we really commend you for the work you put into that already. We also noted that your collection of the survey feedback was like really standout. Getting 63 responses in 24 hours is hard to do for really anyone. So getting that feedback was really impressive. So we did definitely commend you for that effort. And I think it also allowed you to validate some of the things that you were proving through your solution. Some of the things we noted as things to look into as you build this out is really thinking about how to create a content creation model that's more scalable. I think you mentioned that you would start by creating the content yourself, but really thinking about how you would scale that longer term to really keep it engaging for students and for your buyers. We also think building out the MVP to have that collaboration that's built into the platform so that there can be that teamwork element, that collaboration between students. You don't necessarily have to be physically located in a classroom, but you can collaborate through the platform as well. And then the last thing was just looking at your business model and maybe having two approaches, a direct to consumer, a direct to that learner, but then also having an ability to have like a school or district purchase it, and having two revenue streams and how you build that out is another recommendation we have. But again, collaborate for congratulations.
Cool. So the winners of the Startup Weekend Iowa City Ed Tech edition, so not the whole meeting, short that, is eSharp.
Congratulations, you guys did awesome. We really love the idea. One of the very clear strengths is that you have a very clear problem statement. You know exactly what problem you're solving, and it's a real problem. We were also impressed with your competition analysis. You have a growth plan. Love the mobile platform for access. And then we also noticed that you guys are the right mix of people to be doing this business. You have a technology person, and you have a musician, and training to be an educator. You have content expertise. So all of this is amazing. Some of the opportunities that we identify is we think you can sell to multiple channels, B2B and B2C. And if you're going that route, you might want to think about the value prop for each channel, like what's in it for parents and kids and what's in it for the school. Dan actually identified one of the potential channel partners is that he said, hey, for all these rural schools, they don't really usually have money to buy an instrument. They rent from companies. So maybe you can have a rental partner to be a channel partner with the different schools. We actually think you can charge more than what you say you're going to charge for subscription. Another thing is, since you guys are starting out new, you may not be able to spend the effort to make everybody happy. So maybe identify a few groups, like 2 or 3 groups of target audience for early, make them happy. And one of the groups might be rural schools, and clearly articulate the value prop for them. We think you need access using the mobile app and kind of mitigating some of the staff shortage with music teachers. Say it very clearly, because you can't really expect people to know and jump to that conclusion. So spell it out. Overall, it was wonderful, really impressive. You did all that work in the weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Arcade Investing. We thought you guys did a great job articulating the problem and finding a real problem that needs a solution. So if you guys want to get a little feedback, we're sticking around. So we'd love to talk to you.
Well, thank you so much. So there's a couple last things, and you can all get out of here because you don't want to hang out with me anymore. So remember to use Startup Weekend hashtag in your posts or on social media tweets. I don't know if there's a specific
SWIC 21.
Yeah.
Use that more than this.
SWIC 21. So you caught the entrepreneurial bug. What's next? You can help organize the next Startup Weekend. The organizers always love help. You can attend another one. Some of the people who have gone here once have done it multiple times. I myself am a 3-time participant, 4 times, something like that. And then again, continue to connect, like trade business cards or emails. You see everyone in the community, like don't be afraid to say hi. So, Techstars is the worldwide network that helps entrepreneurs succeed. You are now part of the 400,000 participants that have gone through this program since 2009. I don't know what other startup events were happening this weekend, but I'm certain that there were some across the globe. And then lastly, we're headed to Gene's right after this, so 7 until they kick us out or you have to go home. Yeah, that's it. So thank you so much. Congratulations once again. You should be so incredibly proud of yourselves. This is not an easy task, especially to spend 54 hours in a room with each other, with strangers, but hopefully now potential future business partners and more importantly, friends and community. So thank you so much. I will see you soon and imagine.